Despite legal and political inequalities between men and women, females also face gender discrimination in housing in the Nigerian society.
And though the majority of homeless people are men, women continue to face more difficulties than their male counterparts in occupying or securing decent homes. TVC News' Sharon Ejason reports.
It's believed that a growing number of landlords in Nigeria suspect single women of being prostitutes, making it difficult for them to rent apartments. Peace Nwajobi, a successful esthetician and a beauty therapist lady, never thought that she would be sleeping on a friend's couch after 5 months of apartment hunting in Lagos in southwestern Nigeria. She had moved to Lagos after completion of her studies. Despite being financially independent, she struggled to find an apartment in the middle and upmarket areas because she was single. Many landlords and agents expressed preference for what they call decent people and the belief that men have more money.
Affordable housing is considered a major challenge in urban areas with large population like that of which you find in Lagos, Nigeria. From my findings, discrimination comes in many different forms, but the most common of it all is gender discrimination against single ladies, single mothers, and widows.
From research, legislative reforms in the 21st century led to reduction in legal discrimination between male and female occupants of houses in developed countries. But the question of income remains where the gender pay gap continues to contribute to greater insecurity for women. For single ladies, single mothers, and widows, they want the Lagos State House of Assembly to visit the issue. They want the state government to also provide more houses for citizens. Sharon Ejason, TVC News, Lagos.
Well, from that report, let's get fresh perspective now. With me is social commentator Mayoko Ilo. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on the program today. I think at the crux of this issue now is the inability of or the insufficiency of adequate housing for all. What's your take?
Yeah, at the base of it is what you have just said. Lagos has 22 million, for instance, people in terms of population. The housing deficit is 3 million. Nationwide is about 17 million. So it's what you practically call in economics a seller's market. We don't have enough houses for the people. But that said, there is a discrimination against women, which is at the base of it is cultural. We live in a male-dominated patriarchal society. So men want to tell women how to live. We have certain standards for men and an entirely different set of moral standards for women. Would it be as easy changing a perspective like that? I mean, I have my money. I could be in any category. I could even be representing the family. I would say it's changing, but the speed of change is not fast enough. You know, government on its own can do more by making it into our laws that you don't discriminate based on sex and enforce those laws. When we were growing up, or maybe many years back, when a woman is grown up, it's expected that when you leave your father's house, you move straight to your husband's house. But the society is changing, demographics is changing. A woman can finish school at 20. She is not getting married till maybe 25, 30. Even if maybe she doesn't even want to get married. Why are you the one to tell her it has to be like this? The world is changing. They can afford it. Why can't you rent out? But come to think of it, how will this also help if we have the sufficient laws and above all they are enforced? The landlord, the average landlord who does something like this will still tell you it's his house. He has a right to take whichever tenant he wants. No, you don't, because housing is actually a basic social service. Absolutely. You know, it falls in the category of food and clothing. You know, it's basic. Government has a role to play. If you see it from that paradigm, from that perspective, you know that, okay, it may be your house, but the land doesn't belong to you. Absolutely. So you have to play by the rules of government. Before Fashola came into office, landlords could do as they wished. But now, with some laws in Lagos State, maybe they can't take more than 1 year. Abroad, it's usually like 2 weeks. You want to rent a house, pay for 2 weeks in advance, or at most a month. But in Nigeria, what they're asking you for a ham and a leg, you know, bring Absolutely. 2 years and agreement and the rest of them. Things need to change.
we have often heard of complaints from single ladies who want to rent apartments, and then they are told outrightly that, sorry, I can't rent an apartment to you if you're not either married or you don't have a steady job. But it's not the same approach when a guy goes to do that. Besides that, we've also had complaints when some landlords will say, okay, I will not rent apartment to certain persons from certain parts of the country and all of that. Why do we have this kind of situation, especially even in Lagos, that is supposed to be the peak of, let me say, enlightenment and
well,
openness?
I think our society is steeped in stereotypes.
Okay.
You know, we seem to have a scale of preference. We all do, but in the face of the law, we should bend. You know, people think, okay, if I had a way, I'll prefer a stable, a married couple coming into my house. Barring that, somebody who has a steady job. We all want, if we are landlords, we want somebody who has a steady income, so that if at the end of the first year, you don't hear, please, or I can wait for me for 3 months to pay. But that said, discrimination on the basis of gender is unacceptable. You know, it shouldn't be acceptable. It will take us a while to get there. The same society that believes that, okay, if a woman is working, for instance, if you are not married, you don't buy a big car, or you don't even buy a car at all. You understand? It's the mindset. You know, it took a while for women to say, what the hell, what if I'm not getting married? Or what, should I stop living my life? I can afford a car. Because a car, to some people, is a luxury. To most others, it's a necessity. It's a means of conveying you to work. You know, we shouldn't use that to judge whether a woman will be easily controllable,
whether she's going to be submissive or respectful to her husband or something.
It's two different things. You know.
Now, are these issues cultural, basically? Do we put it on the doorstep of culture?
Well, to a large extent, it's cultural, and a society that is based on some version of male domination. We are not the worst in the world. We are still better than Saudi Arabia. But that said, culture is not static. We could have that culture, you know, when you see Miss World in the 1950s, if you see the kind of dress, Miss Nigeria of 1950, the kind of dress I saw her wear, she's old now. It's not the kind of dresses, you know,
that they wear now.
They wear
exactly.
now, you know. We should move with the times. Demographics is changing. More than half of Nigerians now are less than 30 years old. So are they now going to be denied housing on the basis of their age or of their gender?
But what would it take? What would it take for that kind of change? Because the point there is, there are policies, and in fact, in Lagos State, there are some policies here and there when it comes to some of these things.
Well,
but
I would say policies are not written in gold. They are not written in marble too. So over time, you rework these things. If it's not working the way you expect, or you need to rejig it in some extent, you do that so that, okay, which one is working based on complaints. There's need for consumer protection agency, for instance, to do their work. If you have complaints based on this, if you have evidence that you've been discriminated upon based on gender, report to us. So women complain. I went to a place, they told me, okay, the house is available. Then by the time they now found out I'm a single lady, they told me that the place is no longer available. So based on that, you know that, okay,
something is wrong.
Somebody should ask questions. Yeah.
And in that too, there are some arguments that, well, the freedom of the fact that the landlord owns the house and he can give it to whomever he wants to give it to is also there. That argument is also there.
No, it's not very tenable.
Okay.
To a large extent, you have rights as a landlord, but you don't discriminate because housing is a social need, is a basic need of people. In the UK, for instance, 17% of housing is owned by councils.
All right. We have to leave it here now because of time. Thank you very much, Mayo Kunilo, for coming on the program.
You're welcome.
Thank you.